Hello everyone, I'm Darren Magee, and today's topic comes from a question asking, what do narcissistic people fear the most? Now, this might sound like an odd question in the sense that with narcissism we often see overconfidence and arrogance. They always seem to have an answer for everything, and they have an uncanny knack of being able to con people into believing that they are super intelligent, morally superior, or incredibly noble and brave. So in this video, I'm going to look at 8 things which can cause anxiety and distress to narcissistic people. 8 things which can frighten them. I'll also look at how they typically react. So to put this into a context, narcissistic people live very much in the here and now. They seek instant rewards, instant gratification, so they never really think about how their past behavior affects the present, nor how their present behavior might affect the future. To a narcissist, it's all about what makes me look or feel good right now. What gives me control right now? What gives me dominance right now? So I guess you could say they believe they can live life consequence free. But not only do they lie and exaggerate to others about their superiority, their accomplishments, their victimhood or whatever, but they also lie to themselves. They try to rationalize everything. For instance, they didn't get the job because they were cheated, or someone dumped them because of their issues, or other people have cut off contact with them because of what they have done. So what we're looking at is not always deflection. More often than not, it's a rejection of reality. And as Ayn Rand once said, you can avoid reality, but you cannot avoid the consequences of avoiding reality. So looking at some of the things that can cause narcissistic people distress is, first of all, there is the fear of not being special. There's the fear of just being ordinary, just being average. Narcissistic people believe themselves to be special and unique. They believe that they're worthy of admiration and they're entitled to special treatment, but they also need others to reflect that back to them. In their relationships, they expect to be the center of someone else's world, and they can struggle if their friends have other friends in their lives. Because at their core, narcissistic people are very insecure. They don't like the thought of others being popular, interesting, or accomplished. And the thought of them not being special, not being admired, or having to share the spotlight can bring up feelings of worthlessness. So they reject the idea that other people have qualities, skills, merit, and instead believe that attention is being taken away from them, and this can bring up resentment. Now, they might go into a sulk, a temper tantrum, they might lash out, or they might just withdraw until they can find an audience who will admire them. Secondly, narcissistic people do not like to be disrespected. Now, to be fair, no one likes to be disrespected, so let me put this into a context. Narcissists don't see respect the way most people do. For instance, they don't see it as having positive regard for someone or their accomplishments. To a narcissist, being disrespected is not being obeyed. It's not being pandered to. It's not being validated. It's not being given special attention or special treatment. To a narcissist, being disrespected is being disagreed with. To a narcissist, it is disrespectful to point out their errors or their mistakes, even if it's done constructively. They don't like their nonsensical reasoning being challenged, nor do they like being the butt of other people's jokes, even if it's just in good fun and there's no ill will meant. The narcissistic framing of being disrespected can be humiliating. It can feel as if they're being devalued and ridiculed, much in the way that they devalue and ridicule others. But with narcissism, we often see double standards. They can demand to be respected, but that respect is never reciprocated. In fact, they might tell other people that they have to earn their respect, whereas they don't have to earn anything. But when they say other people have to earn their respect, what I think they really mean is, I'll just treat you any way I want, until I decide otherwise. Thirdly, they fear your confidence. Remember, narcissistic people see themselves as superior. They don't want other people seeing themselves as competent, and they can spend a lot of time and effort undermining other people's self-confidence, their sense of self, their sense of reality. They plant seeds of doubt in other people's minds. They gaslight them. They have them second-guess themselves. In fact, it's one of the ways they gain and maintain control over people. Because the last thing they want is for other people to be able to make decisions without their input or their permission. And due to their low resolution thinking, it's like if other people feel empowered, it must mean that they're being disempowered. So when someone asserts themselves, their sense of superiority is threatened, and they can react in a myriad of ways. They could double down on their gaslighting, they could make threats, have temper tantrums, or start a smear campaign. Because if they can't control how you see yourself, they might try to control how others see you. But one way or another, they'll do what they can to stamp out or punish people for showing them they don't have control. Which leads me on to number 4, and that is the fear of losing control. Narcissistic people have this need to control their friends, their partners, their families, even their work colleagues. They like to have control over people's interactions and their choices. Because they view the world in a very self-centered way, they believe everything revolves around them or is about them. In relationships, narcissistic people will either isolate their partners from their friends and family, or they will ingratiate themselves into their company, make them their friends, just so that they can control any interactions their partners may have. One of their fears is, if other people see what's going on, well, they may point it out to the partner, so they try to monitor, control, or cut off any outside support the partner may have. Moving on to number 5, they fear their victims' retaliation or their retribution. They fear other people treating them the way they treat people. And this is one of the reasons they often accuse other people of doing the very things they do themselves. They fear being berated, being judged harshly, being punished. Now, even if they're caught in the act, they will still plead their innocence. They will make excuses, they will blame shift or plead victimhood. But the thing is, they know they're wrong, and they know that you know they're wrong, but they will still lie and try to weasel out of whatever it is to avoid the consequences that comes with being held to account. And this can involve telling even more lies, feigning confusion, or maybe performing exaggerated illnesses. But the thing is, though, if you were to let it go, if you were to forgive them, quite often they'll become even more controlling and domineering. It's like they stop trusting you because you caught them out. Number 6, narcissists struggle with the word no. Remember the sense of entitlement. The word no can seem like an affront to their sense of self. It's like being rejected. It's not getting their supply. So they can struggle if people don't comply or behave the way they want them to. What you often see is an escalation in their manipulation tactics such as outrage, guilt-tripping, or silent treatment. Number 7 is probably the biggest fear a narcissist will ever face, and that's the fear of being exposed for what they really are. They are flawed, inept, they are selfish and toxic. They lie, they scheme, manipulate, bully, and coerce. They aren't experts and they aren't superior. They are no more special than anyone else, and the rules apply to them the same way as they do to everyone else. But the thought of being exposed, now whether that's as a fraud or as being abusive, well, this can bring up intense fear and shame, and they will do whatever they can to protect their false image, even if that means trying to destroy other people's reputation. Now, an indicator that being exposed is one of their biggest fears is in one of their most common threats, and that is, you had better not tell other people about me. So it's not like they don't know what they're doing is wrong. Lastly, probably a narcissistic person's biggest fear, and it is the common thread that runs throughout all of their fears, and that is the fear of reality. Now, as I said at the beginning, narcissism is largely a rejection of reality. They are no more special and unique than anyone else. Other people know things they don't and can do things they can't. Other people have agency and autonomy. They are not omnipotent, and quite often other people don't want them or need them. But reality doesn't fit with their version of themselves. It doesn't fit with their version of the world or even their version of you. Reality challenges their magical thinking. It challenges their delusions and their fantasies, and it must be rejected at all costs. To a narcissist, reality can be crushingly shameful. And when faced with reality, they'll try to shame or blame others. They'll go on the attack. They'll go into a full-blown rage. Or they might fall into a shame-based depression, and this is known as a narcissistic collapse. So there are 8 things which can cause narcissistic people distress, anxiety, and fear. But regardless of the causes, a common sign to look out for could be an escalation in their manipulation. For instance, there could be an escalation in their love bombing or their little tokens of affection. Or there could be an escalation in their threats. There could be boundaries being pushed even further. Now, none of this is proof, but it could be an indication that there's something going on in their mind. For instance, they could be trying to test you to see what it is you know. Or they might assume you're going to find out sooner or later, so they're trying to regain a sense of control by either gaslighting you, pacifying you with gifts, or trying to frighten you with threats. But I would like to say that after watching a video like this, if you have been or are in a relationship with a narcissistic person, after how you've been mistreated, neglected, and bullied, there can be a temptation to want to do or say something that's going to let you win, even if it's just this once. But the thing is, narcissism is not something you poke with a stick. It is not something you mess around with. You don't always know how someone is going to react. And if you think you're going to suddenly find the right combination of words that's going to bring them to their senses, maybe make them apologize, that ain't going to happen. When it comes to narcissistic personality disorder, you cannot reason, plead, love, or shame the toxicity out of them. If they were to change, they would have to want to, and they would have to want to put the work in. But sadly, narcissistic people have this tendency to flip everything back onto their victims. It is the victims who are the bullies. It is the victims who are narcissistic. They can also be very vindictive whenever they're wounded. So if you truly want to have some kind of victory in your life, then just go live your best life free of them. Be the best version of you. Go on and thrive. I hope you found this video to be helpful. If you did, please consider subscribing to my channel. And please feel free to add anything I may have missed in the comments section. There are some interesting conversations start from these videos. But until next time, thanks for watching.